You know that feeling when you love someone so much that in some moments you could almost say you hate them? It's a really weird, really human experience, right? Well, today we're diving deep into that feeling. We're going to explore this incredible psychological journey, the struggle to bring together our most opposite feelings, love and hate, and figure out what it actually means to be a whole person. So let's get into it.
This is the big question, posed by the pioneering psychoanalyst Melanie Klein. And trust me, this isn't just some abstract academic question. It cuts right to the heart of our relationships, our sanity, and really our ability to just deal with the world as it is.
Because according to Klein, this constant battle between our loving side and our destructive side, while it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's just a fundamental part of being alive.
Yeah, for Klein, this whole internal war isn't something broken that needs to be fixed. It's actually the main event of our psychological lives. Becoming a mature person is all about learning how to manage this conflict. And it all starts in a pretty wild place, she called.
This is ground zero for our psychological development. It's a way of thinking that is completely black and white, no shades of gray allowed.
Okay, I know that name sounds super intense, but just think of it as a baby's first survival kit. When you're an infant, feelings are just overwhelming. So to cope, the mind does this clever little trick. It splits everything. People are either perfectly, unbelievably good, or they are terrifyingly, horribly bad. There is absolutely no in-between.
And this is the perfect example. For a tiny baby, the mother who feeds and cuddles them is an all-good angel. She's perfect. But a few minutes later, if that same mother is slow with the milk, she becomes an all-bad monster. The crazy part? The baby's brain doesn't get that it's the same person. This splitting actually protects the idea of the good mommy from all the baby's rage and frustration.
But of course, you can't live in that black and white world forever. The next step in growing up is a huge and often painful dose of reality.
Wow. This quote from one of Klein's patients, a woman called Mrs. A, just hits you in the gut, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the shock of this next stage. It's that dawning, terrifying horror when you realize your hateful, angry feelings were aimed at the very same person you love and need more than anyone.
And that brings us to what's called the depressive position. Now, don't let the name fool you. This isn't about being clinically depressed. It's about that deep sinking feeling of guilt when you finally get it. The person you love and the person you hate are the same person. You start to worry that your anger might have actually hurt them, and you feel this powerful need to fix it, to make things right.
So, if we start out by splitting everything into good and bad, and then we move into feeling guilty about it, where's this all going? Well, the final destination is a much more mature, more sophisticated state of mind, one that goes way beyond that simple split.
This is it. This is the goal, the integrative position. It's not a place where love finally beats hate into submission. No, it's about developing the mental muscle to hold both feelings at the same time, to tolerate the paradox that, yes, you can love and hate the same person, and that's okay.
And here she is again, Mrs. A. This is her later on. And you can just feel the wisdom she's found. It's this incredible moment of acceptance. She isn't trying to choose between love and hate for her mother anymore. She's realized they're both true, they're both real, and they can exist together.
But hold on. Getting to this place of integration is not a walk in the park. There are traps along the way, and one of the biggest ones is something Klein called the tyranny of goodness. It's this compulsive, desperate need to see yourself as all good.
Take this guy, Mr. B. He was a doctor, totally devoted to his patients, but he completely denied his own needs, his exhaustion, his anger, everything. He built this identity as the purely good, selfless helper. But what he was really doing was projecting all of his own messy, needy feelings onto everyone else. His so-called goodness was actually a shield that kept him from having real connections. And here's the paradox. He only became a truly good doctor when he allowed himself to be a worse one, when he finally accepted his own needs, his own flaws, his whole self.
So, this is all fascinating psychological theory, but why does it matter? How does this journey from splitting to integration actually show up in our day-to-day lives? Let's look at a couple of real-world examples.
First up, let's talk about something we all go through: mourning someone we've lost. It turns out our ability to integrate is absolutely essential here.
Think about it. If you're stuck in that splitting mindset, you can't really mourn. You either turn the person into a saint, completely forgetting they ever annoyed you, or you can only remember the bad stuff, which just poisons the memory. Healthy mourning requires integration. It requires remembering them as a whole person, someone you loved like crazy and who also drove you nuts sometimes.
When you can do that, you can truly grieve, and they can live on inside you as a real, complex, and comforting presence.
All right, for our second example, we're going somewhere you might not expect. We're going to look at what's at the heart of real creativity.
Okay, this is kind of mind-bending, but every single creative act is also an act of destruction, right? A painter has to destroy a blank canvas with paint. A musician destroys silence with sound. Now, some creativity is driven by that guilt we talked about. It's trying to fix something. But the most powerful, generative creativity? That comes from an integrated place. It joyfully accepts that creation and destruction are partners. You have to be willing to tear things down to build something new and amazing.
Look, this journey from splitting to integration isn't a one-and-done deal. It's the work of a lifetime. And let's be honest, we live in a world that is constantly pushing us to split things into good versus evil, us versus them. So maybe the bravest, most mature thing we can do is to just practice holding the paradox. How can we make space for both the love and the hate, the good and the bad, inside ourselves and in the world around us? It's a massive challenge for sure, but it might just be the most important one we've got.